Hi everyone again. Thank you to the organizers, everyone, for making this possible. My name is Abigail Oppong from Ghana, and I'm independent researcher where I focus on detecting biases in AI models, especially for the African community. And so today I'll be talking about three main projects that I've been working on. One is detecting and then mitigating gender bias in NLP for low resource languages, and also Project GFI, which is a digital looms in crafting gender and economic futures in African AI. And also talk about the state of NLP technologies for public health in Africa. So this is a project I did with the Language Technology Lab at the University of Cambridge, which is still in review, but then I'm excited to also share some of the findings that we had. All right, so in today's talk, I'll be talking about a case study of English to Chi machine translation. So Chi is a language spoken in Ghana by most people as well, and also considered as a low resource language. And so in 2021, a data set was released, which is about 25,421, where they had annotators kind of translate from English to Chi, and also had a crowdsourced data set from the community as well. And so, my first time working with something AI was detecting some of these issues when it comes to gender. And so by then, the only data set I could come across was this data set. So this was the data set that I used, which is an English to Chi parallel corpus. And from my analysis, my initial, idea was to do a translation from English to Chi, so that at least somebody will be able to, learn my language as well. But then along the line, I started to try some sentences, and then I found out that there's an issue. Why? Because when it comes to probably sentences like he's an engineer, he's a doctor, like pronouns, and also pronouns which are kind of associated with high profile jobs, the system tends to kind of ignore the other gender. And sometimes so it tends to give an inaccurate translation. So over here, you can see that we have she's an engineer and he is an engineer. At the left-hand side, you can see that there is less attention given to, when it comes to the engineer. And also at the right-hand side, you can see that when it comes to the engineer, he has more attention. And so this made me curious to look at the systems that are out there, what they are also producing and all that. So I also checked Google, Translate. This is from Chi to English. And then you can see that, when it comes to Chi, we have or, which means he or she. But then the systems are only translating to he. So that means that, okay, this is an issue that, the AI systems are generating. And yes, we also have the Kaya app. This is built by the Ghana NLP community as well. And I also tried it on it, and I realized that it's also having the same issue. So, it became a task for me as a woman to also, investigate this issue further. And so one thing that I learned from this, analysis, helped me to kind of define the way forward. So I define gender bias as the preference or prejudice towards one gender over the other, and also considered bias in this work as the stereotypical association of words from these categories with gender names, and also the quality of translation in the context of the language, in this case, which is Chi. So for me, I was looking at 6 main sources of where these bias could come from. And then the first one was the data. And then the second was probably the annotation from those who kind of translated it. And also the input representations in the model itself, how the research was kind of designed, and also content moderation. So back again to the statistics of the data set. So I went ahead to do textual analysis to kind of group the data set into which one is, talking about masculine or feminine, and then this was the statistics. I realized that there were more, sentences to the masculine side and also less sentences to the feminine side. Yes, and one interesting thing was that for the data set, is kind of also representing the case whereby we have maybe he's a doctor, he is an engineer and all that. So, okay, this made me realize that, okay, the data set itself can be a problem and so needs to be worked on as well. And so for me, these are some of the sentences that I took from the data set, the 25,000 plus parallel corpus sentences from English to Chi. So you can see that, some of the sentences we have here going with the doctor, father going with doctor, warrior going with his, and all that. So, the assumption was that, okay, this may come out from the data set because the model has learned on how to translate more into, when it comes to he and then his as well. Yeah. So one of the problems that I encountered was probably is because, for low resource language, it lacks the amount of data to be able to do this machine translation task properly. And also probably lack of focus on detecting and then mitigating gender bias in machine translation systems, especially for African languages as well. And so I designed this participatory data design approach where I had, two folds. So first of all, I had one of the data sets, the power corpus edited, and also I call something balanced original data set. That's wherever we have maybe the pronouns he or she, we also replace it with the she. Wherever we have the he, we replace it with she, just so we can have a balance of the gender in the system as well. And then after that, we test it with the female test set and also male test set as well. Yeah, so this was how the data sets were kind of edited, just to make sure the learning, just an attempt to see whether the model will also learn from this. Yeah, so for the first result that I got, as you can see here, we had he is the boss and then she's the boss. Over here, even though we have like a wrong translation for she's a boss, because the M-A-A-M-E here means that she is a mother. So that means that is really taking out of the context of being a boss and representing the female gender as being a mother. Yeah, so at least after the balanced data sets, we're able to get the model to learn from it, and also had the blue score. We use the blue score to kind of measure it technically. So at least we had something which were like promising as well after going through this participatory design data approach as well. But after the data, then what's next? So the question was to also look at the model as well to see what's really going, in there. So this is like a word embeddings of how the data set is kind of represented as well. So we're also looking at, the distance between words. For instance, when we have he, was the distance between he and then probably a profession like a doctor or an engineer. And also when we have she, was the distance between them from maybe she to engineer. Yes. But then from all this, the question that I was kind of getting was, when it comes to probably she and also the African community, are we only looking at pronouns as well? And then for me, the question was no, because when it comes to Ghana, where I live, there are so many ways in which we represent, gender as well. For instance, we have the names of the week for everybody, where maybe the male, female, we have like different names for them. So I also thought, well, okay, why don't I also work around this and then see how best it will also work on this one? So with this one, I made reference from one professor who works on the Akan personal names as well. So Chi is a language from the Akan community. Yes. And for this one, to my surprise, it was kind of giving me an interesting perspective as well. So when I go back, we can see that Pabna is the main name for those born on Tuesday, and Abena is a female name for those born on Tuesday as well. So I tested it on it, and the sentence I tested it on was that I doubt Kwabna is really a doctor. So as you can see over here, the prediction from the model gives like Abna, and then over here we have like input set like Abna, but then it's bringing out Abna, which is the main name of Abna. So it makes me to think broader that okay, it's not only about he and she, but then when it comes to even our own culture names, we still have this kind of issue as well. So I investigated more with the person who wrote the book to know more about how these languages or the names are formed when it comes to how maybe they originated and all that. And okay, I learned something that probably the female name originated from the Kwabna. So for here, it was my assumption that okay, then probably this might be the case. But then the question still was on how we can make the model learn more that okay, Abna is the female name and Kwabna is the female name, and then we should make them more representative as well. So this is kind of a work in progress where I'm trying to get more data on it to be able to see how the model performs on it. So the previous analysis that I've talked about is mainly on the technical perspective. But then the question is, are we also looking at the social aspect as well? So this year I work on a book chapter that's artificial intelligence, autonoms, and gender equality, where we are trying to unveil the invisible gender norms in AI ecosystems in the context of Africa. And so in this chapter, I'm trying to explore the complex effects of AI in various groups, where we highlight the new gender norms in the digital spaces as well. So here we use a group in Kenya where the participants were tasked to kind of tell us how they feel about a post. So probably we kind of have posts. Sometimes it can be about maybe a female, sometimes it can be about a male. And then we kind of observe the way people interact with them, the comments that they had with it, especially within the social media space. And this kind of gives us an overview of how the community think as well, especially about women and all that. And probably into those who, annotate the data, because we go to the community and then we tell them, okay, we have this, set of data set. Can you help us to make sure that it's kind of representative? Imagine somebody commenting on a post about a human body shaming a woman, and then you also asking the person to kind of annotate this kind of data set. Of course, you have like a ski data set that's being biased towards the woman. Yeah, so this, book chatter is also online. You can find it and then read it as well. Right. So the next project I'll be talking about here is the Project Justify. That's the Digital Looms Crafting Gender and Economic Futures in African AI. So this is actually a collaboration I did with an artist, a very young artist. They wanted to explore how probably AI will perceive African women when it comes to how, the way we live as well. So this was a presentation I made at the Colors of AI workshop this year, where we're trying to figure out how AI pick colors and also pick cultures. And of course, this is myself, the researcher, and also the artist. Yeah, we are both from Ghana. And so the main thing here was Mabel here, she's an artist, she doesn't know anything about ChatGPT anything about generative AI. So what I did was probably I told her to kind of make a sketch of how African women in maybe the agri sector, how they are, and also maybe in 5 years' time, how she envisioned them as well. But then in this project, I was looking at so many different things, probably in ways in which we can also enhance human AI design approach in building these technologies to make it more representative to the community as well, and also kind of bridge the gap between these different fields. Also include more voices from different fields as well. So here we have, the artist, the developer, and the researcher coming together to really think through about how we can make these technologies more representative of the African woman. And of course, before that, we were just elaborating on the importance of arts, on how it has the power to kind of evoke emotions and also raise awareness about the consequences of bias in technology, hereby kind of encouraging the developers to kind of prioritize fairness and inclusivity as well. Yeah. So before that, I also asked ChatGPT to kind of give me an image where we have probably half of it is representing how African women in the agri sector are, and probably in the next 5 years how it will be like. So over here, the left side represents probably the African women. That's GPT, and also the right hand side also represents when maybe in the 5 years to come, how the African women will be interacting with these technologies. And when I looked at these kind of technologies, I saw so many things, such as misrepresentation and even the way the environment is like, and the culture, that's the clothing, the dress, and the food that's there, and even the buildings there as well. And one thing that also struck me was how the women kind of the age women were kind of staring. I don't know whether they are reading analysis on the PC. And then we have this young lady doing some analysis. Yeah. So this kind of raises a question, and why probably we're working on this project as well. So make sure that we represent African women as well when it comes to this environment, and even the colors as well, because when it comes to the African community, colors means a lot as well. Yes, and so this is also like an act from Mabel that she did, where she was trying to perceive, the role of African women who are into agriculture now, and probably in the next 5 years, how they are going to use these technologies and all that. Yes, and from this, I mean, I could see that okay, this is a well represented kind of act when it comes to African women in it. And even here, you can see the women are the one using these technologies themselves, and not probably, I mean, just staring at it as well. So this kind of give us a whole new perspective on how probably we can develop these technologies. Are we developing these technologies for, the people who may use it, or maybe the community that we are developing it for? Are we developing it for them to just kind of stare the devices and not be able to use them, or we are developing, this is them for them to use it? And this also, comes in when it comes to probably building systems that they can use themselves. Going to the community, building the systems with them, because when you don't build it with them, at the end of the day, you build it and then they will not be able to use it. Yeah, so that was the J5 projects as well. Yeah, so the last project I wanted to talk about, the reason why probably I'm talking about these whole projects is the idea of how probably it shapes um the development of these technologies, because there are so many things that I learned along the way when I started the research in AI with the gender bias, and also moving to the arts to explore more on how probably we can make these systems more representative. And then this is actually a project that I recently worked on with the Language Technology Lab at the University of Cambridge. And so we did a scoping review of research that has been done when it comes to NLP technologies for public health in Africa, where we, by the end of the day, we reviewed about 54 papers. And so I will just go through some of the interesting, graphs that we had from it. So we found out that there are, a lot of the projects which are on the design and prototyping, and then a few on the validation, and then the concepts as well. And then we had only one paper talking about deployment. Yes, and this paper was also connected to Facebook because people are already using it, and so the deployment was kind of easy for them. And this is kind of raising a lot of questions as to why probably most of them are at the design and prototyping stage as well. Yeah. And so it also goes on with the design and prototyping stage because we had technical performance really high and user experience a bit lower, and then the health research measure like being the lowest as well. So that means that most projects were focusing on the technical performance as well, and probably not the public health outcome as well. Yeah. So and then lastly, this one interesting graph talks about the those who fund the project because we wanted to draw the line on why probably so much projects are kind of in the design and prototyping stage and why are they in the technical performance stage as well. So we found out that most of them are projects funded from North America, Europe, and then some of them from African, the governments, probably those in the validation stage as well, and then some also from Asia as well. Yeah. So this is probably like a review of what we did. And so after this project, we are thinking of coming up with cases on which, when it comes to public health and also NLP technologies in Africa, how are they kind of built as well? Because here, when you see it, it's like, whom are we giving the power to also build these technologies, and why are they not kind of sustainable? Why are they at maybe the prototyping stage? So it's because of maybe the funding stopped, or there's a whole lot of questions around this that we are yet to explore. And so this one comes to my next project, which is working with, local organizations who are already working in the health sector. It can be maybe health promotion. How do we help them to manage their data sets well? Because right now, when you talk to them, few of them know about, these new technologies that it may have biases, but then there are also some good opportunities and some techniques that they can use to help improve their work as well. And so that's something that I'm working on to really work with these local organizations to kind of develop their own kind of techniques and framework for them so that at least we can have something in Africa which can be more deployable as well. Because by then they are working with the community, so they will know best what their needs are as well. All right. So I wanted to end my presentation with a blog series that I'm currently working on with the data and society as well. So with this blog, we are focusing on Africa, Asia, and then the Latin America. Probably we'll be having researchers talk about how AI kind of affects them when it comes to the health, labor, and the languages, and also the power of how technologies are built. Are they having more power now, building their own technologies, or what? Yeah. So probably I'll stay in touch as well and share it with you all. Thank you for your time.